Hi, my name is Jim Blythe. I'm a former professor of business, and I'm just doing a series of short talks about some aspects of the European Union and just looking at some of the myths that have grown up about how the European Union works and what its remit is. Today I thought I'd approach the very commonly levelled complaints about the European Union, which is that they forced us to change our measuring system over from the wonderful pounds, ounces, stones to kilos and grams, and also, of course, our distances, moving from yards, miles, furlongs onto metres and kilometres. And in fact, we don't really use metres and kilometres that much in the UK, but we do have metric systems for all our building materials. And sometimes, if you've got an old house like I have, you run up against problems trying to get the old pipework to fit to the new radiator you're trying to fit. Now, this of course is inconvenient for British people, and naturally we tend to say, well, the European Union made us do it. Well, in fact, the European Union didn't make us do it at all. The process started in 1965 under the Harold Wilson government, and it started because pretty much the whole world, apart from us and the Americans, use metric systems. So the idea was to move everything onto the same system that pretty much the rest of the world does, because if we're manufacturing things and hoping to export them, or if we're importing things from elsewhere, it's important that what we're importing or what we're exporting fits in with what everybody else is doing. It's a barrier to trade. Otherwise, people don't want to buy our stuff because it's all measured in feet and inches or pounds and ounces. So the whole process started in 1965, in fact. So that's 8 years before we joined the European Union, absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with the European Union. However, more recently people have said, but see, your butcher isn't allowed to sell your thing in pounds, or you aren't allowed to buy your butter in pounds and ounces, or you aren't allowed to buy your wood in feet and inches. Well, that's actually not true. The European Union does require that everything be labelled in kilos. And the reason for that is so that people can make price comparisons fairly easily from one country to another, and so that manufacturers of food in different countries can sell their goods easily elsewhere. They don't have to relabel every tin of beans or bottle of vegetables in some other way. It can all be labelled in kilos throughout the European Union. However, there is no regulation whatsoever in the European Union that prevents butchers, grocers, bakers, candlestick makers from selling their goods, labelling their goods in pounds and ounces as well, should they so wish. I know this is the case because I go to my butcher, and being an older chap, I often ask for things in pounds. Also, I often look at a recipe, and some of my recipe books, the recipes involve pounds and ounces, or pints, of course, rather than the metric equivalents. So quite clearly, we have to be able to operate using both systems, and there is nothing whatsoever in the EU legislation preventing that happening. All they require is that we also use kilos, and that is really just about ensuring there's fair competition among the various manufacturers of Europe, and that they aren't putting up unnecessary barriers in order to make everything cost more for consumers. Hope that's cleared that up for you. Thanks for listening.